All right, everyone, take your seats. Welcome to the boardroom. I am your managing director for today's Executive Explainer, and we are going to run a full audit on your approach to Cambridge Mathematics AS and A level. Specifically, we're tearing into Topic 6.4, Sampling and Estimation, and the calculation of confidence intervals for the population mean. Now listen, this isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill review session. Absolutely not. This is a C-suite grade proposal audit. We are going to treat your exam responses like high-stakes, multi-million-dollar corporate pitches. I want you to literally imagine an executive value meter on the wall right now, running from $0 all the way up to $1 million. That meter represents the massive leap from a Band 5 fail up to a Band 1 A-star mark. We've got an audit deadline clock ticking down in the background, and we are tracking your assessment objectives in real time. Why? Because this specific topic appears in every single examination series. It is a non-negotiable asset in your portfolio. You can't skip it. Today, to help illustrate this, I'm going to be bringing in two of my hypothetical junior associates, Alex and Sam. They're going to help us demonstrate exactly what Cambridge examiners, who, let's be honest, are the ultimate ruthless venture capitalists, are actually looking for when they evaluate your proposals. Look at this quote on the screen. This is direct, unfiltered intel pulled straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. In the corporate financial world, we call this your insurance policy against a total valuation crash. Let that sink in. Your process documentation, the systematic, line-by-line, step-by-step working out of your confidence interval, is what actually protects your investment. Think about it. If you make a minor, silly arithmetic error at the very end of your calculation, but your underlying analytical framework is completely sound, the examiners will still award you significant method marks. You are proving to the board that your intellectual assets are solid, even if the final decimal point is just slightly off. It's a game changer if you use it correctly.
Okay, here is our boardroom itinerary for today's audit. We'll start with the boardroom briefing, move into the procedural framework, run a rigorous liability scan, and finally, lock down your critical evaluation skills. Let's get right into it.
Act 1. The boardroom briefing. Let's look at the theoretical architecture of the core principles. Now, the theoretical architecture of Topic 6.4 rests completely on precise definitions and causal relationships. The underlying asset we are trying to value here is the population mean. Because auditing an entire population is usually impossible, too expensive, takes too long, we rely on a sample. But a sample is just a snapshot, right? It's inherently limited. So to pitch a reliable estimate to the board, we must construct a confidence interval. This is a calculated range of values that we are, say, 95% confident contains the true, hidden population mean. To pull this off, you have to hit 3 distinct cognitive domains: knowledge of your formulas, application of your raw data, and analysis of what the interval actually means in the real world. Let me give you a scenario. I project a high-tariff Cambridge past paper question on the screen right now. Let's call it the market opportunity. It asks you to calculate a 90% confidence interval and interpret its meaning. I turn to my junior associate, Alex, and ask for his initial pitch. Alex stands up and says, "Well, director, I would write down the textbook definition of a confidence interval. I would state that we took a sample, the sample mean is X bar, and we used the standard normal distribution to find the limits." I have to stop him right there. The executive value meter just plummeted to the floor. Why? Because that is a classic descriptive analysis. It's a low-value return. He is merely providing descriptive text blocks that summarize the theory. The examiner already knows the theory. They wrote the book. Then my other associate, Sam, jumps in. Sam says, "I'd skip the definitions entirely. I jump straight to the end and say, therefore, we are highly confident the true mean is inside this bracket, which proves the company's manufacturing process is perfectly optimized." And again, I have to shake my head. Sam, that's just as bad. You've given me a massive evaluative claim with zero hard asset backing. No data, no formulas. An elite candidate engineers an analytical pitch. They explicitly state the sample mean, define the specific z-value for a 90% interval, calculate the margin of error using the standard error formula, and then provide an evaluative conclusion tied directly to the hard numbers they just calculated. That is how you secure the bag.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that to secure a seat on the board, or, a Band 1 grade, you must demonstrate that your grasped confidence intervals connects logically across multiple areas of the syllabus. The syllabus explicitly states that top-performing students exhibit a connected conceptual understanding. When an examiner presents you with a totally unfamiliar context, say a dataset about agricultural yields or maybe manufacturing defects in microchips, you cannot just blindly plug numbers into a formula like a robot. You must recognize, for instance, how the central limit theorem allows you to assume a normal distribution for the sample mean if the sample size is large enough. Showing that you understand exactly why you are allowed to use standard normal z-values is what separates the junior staff from the C-suite executives. You have to prove you understand the machinery behind the math. Let's pivot now to Act 2, the procedural framework. This is where we get tactical. This is where we operationalize your theoretical knowledge into a strict, standardized sequence. Backstage right now, I can hear Alex and Sam arguing. They're trying to merge their assets to create the ultimate joint venture answer paragraph. Let's listen in on their consultant co-op debate. Alex says, okay, Sam, for step 1, we need to list out every single dictionary definition of sampling before we even look at the data table. Sam completely disagrees, talking a mile a minute. No, Alex, we literally don't have time. The audit deadline clock is ticking down. Let's just grab the numbers from the table, throw them into the calculator, and jump straight to step 5, present format. We need to maximize our return on investment right now. I have to step into the room and shut this down. Both of them are completely breaching Cambridge regulatory standards. Every single time you encounter a sampling question, you must systematically run this specific 5-step compliance checklist. No exceptions. Step 1, deconstruct and identify the given information. Step 2, apply the relevant analytical framework. Step 3, execute the analysis with clear step-by-step working. Step 4, verify the results. And step 5, present in the appropriate format. If you skip a step, you leave money on the table. Let's execute this live right now. Just like extracting key financial metrics from a really dense 100-page corporate annual report, you must isolate the relevant population mean data. If the problem gives you a massive, complex frequency table, your first objective is to extract the sample mean and the unbiased estimate of the population variance, and do it accurately. You absolutely cannot afford to misread the raw data. One wrong digit and your whole projection is off. Once you've successfully extracted the data, you select the analytical framework. Next, you must use precise mathematical terminology. Do not just casually write the average like you're talking to a friend. Write the unbiased estimate of the population mean. When you rewrite your core thesis statement on that exam paper, it must read exactly like an ironclad legal contract, precise, data-driven, and structurally sound. And this perfectly illustrates the method mark strategy I mentioned earlier. I will say it again because it is literally your guaranteed asset return. Method marks are awarded for clear, unambiguous working. If your step 3, execute working, is laid out logically on the page, showing the substitution of your extracted data into the correct confidence interval formula, this structural compliance protects your entire investment. Let's say your hand slips on the calculator and you write down 4.5 instead of 5.4 at the very end. If your structure is perfect, the examiner can see your architecture. Do not ever hide your working. Your working is your proof of competence to the board. Okay, we are entering Act 3, the mid-pitch calibration. We've established the framework, now we calibrate. But wait, our associates have hit a critical structural roadblock mid-paragraph. Before we see if the specific response can actually secure a top band valuation, you need to ensure your personal academic assets are properly managed. Subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @AceTheExams right now and turn on all notifications. No matter if your focus is Cambridge IGCSE, O-levels, AS, or A-levels, this channel is your weekly board seat to secure elite grades. Okay, back to the pitch. Alex and Sam are struggling to seamlessly secure their evaluative points. They're rambling. So I am issuing them a structural power-up template right now, the Peel framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. I tell them, rewrite it, right now, out loud. Sam starts. Okay, point. The 95% confidence interval for the population mean is calculated to be between 42.1 and 48.5. Alex jumps in. Evidence. This is derived using the sample mean of 45.3, a sample size of 50, and a z-value of 1.96. Sam nods and continues. Explanation. Because the sample size is large, specifically over 30, the central limit theorem justifies the use of the normal distribution. And Alex finishes it off. Link. Therefore, we are 95% confident that the true population mean lies within this specific range. Boom. Excellent. The executive value meter is climbing rapidly. By using that framework, they have just transformed a low-value, descriptive mess of a paragraph into a bulletproof A-star asset. Now, for Act 4, the liability scan. I am initiating a live interactive compliance audit based on direct, hard data pulled from the principal examiner reports. These examiner reports are pure gold. They isolate the exact exploits that cause candidate scores to absolutely plummet. Here are the top 3 fatal errors you must avoid. Number 1, confusing cause and effect in estimations. Listen, a lot of candidates will see a wider confidence interval and write something like, because the interval got wider, the sample mean must have shifted. No, that is a fundamental misunderstanding of causality. A wider confidence interval is the mathematical effect of demanding a higher confidence level, like moving from 90% to 99%. It's not a changing sample mean. Number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. If the question explicitly asks for 3 significant figures and you proudly provide 5, you have breached the contract. You lose the accuracy mark immediately. Number 3, providing answers not specific to the given context. If the data is about the lifespan of commercial light bulbs, your final statement cannot just be, "We are 95% confident the mean is between X and Y." It must be, "We are 95% confident that the true mean lifespan of this specific brand of light bulbs is between 10 and 12 months." Remember this memory mnemonic: causality, formatting, context, CFC. Do not let CFCs deplete your grade's atmosphere.
And if you ignore these warnings, what if you failed to show your systematic working out and just scribble a final incorrect number down on the page because you rushed? Well, this is the exact mark valuation your response will earn. 0. A complete, devastating valuation crash. You have effectively breached Cambridge regulatory standards. An examiner cannot award method marks if there is literally no method visible to audit. A 0 is a total loss of the asset. And let me be clear, we do not accept zeros in this boardroom. Finally, we arrive at Act 5, Critical Evaluation Skills. It is time to upgrade your entire strategy to the C-suite level. Look at this resource allocation matrix on the screen. It explicitly connects our deconstruct, solve, evaluate sequence to Cambridge's highest assessment objectives. When you properly deconstruct the given information from a messy paragraph, you are demonstrating AO1, knowledge. When you break the mathematical problem down and solve it systematically with your formulas, you are proving your AO2, application skills. But when you look at that final confidence interval and make justified, real-world recommendations based on it, that is AO3, evaluation. That is the C-suite level where the top grades are awarded. To achieve the maximum return on investment on your exam, you must actively evaluate the quality of your evidence. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate elite evaluative thinking by constantly questioning the assumptions embedded in the data. For example, what if the sample size they give you is only 15, and the prompt doesn't explicitly tell you the underlying population is normal? You must state that limitation in your pitch. You have to note that the confidence interval estimation relies heavily on the assumption of normality, and if that assumption fails in the real world, your conclusion's validity is totally compromised. Exploring these alternative interpretations and pointing out the flaws in the data is exactly what pushes your executive value meter all the way to the peak. So I want you to ask yourself this critical compliance question every single time you finalize an estimation procedure. Are you thoroughly documenting your assumptions and actually checking the reasonableness of your conclusions? Think about it. If you calculate a confidence interval for the average height of adult humans, and your interval comes out to be between 5 meters and 7 meters, your result is obviously not reasonable. You must have the executive oversight to look at that, recognize a glaring calculation error, go back to step 3 of your procedural framework, and audit your own math before the examiner does. Let's distill this entire audit down into the 3 core corporate pillars for mastering Topic 6.4. First, the due diligence scan, carefully decoding the dense text to extract the correct sample data. Second, the resource allocation matrix, managing your exam time effectively and selecting the precise analytical formula required. Third, the final compliance audit, running your review checklist to ensure you haven't confused cause and effect. Your formatting is precise to the exact significant figure, and your final evaluative statement is deeply tied to the real-world context. Backstage, our associates Alex and Sam have just presented their newly engineered flawless response paragraph applying these pillars, and the executive value meter has successfully hit the maximum $1 million A-star mark. They did it. We have successfully secured the deal today. Now it's your turn to maximize your valuation. Secure your educational deal by subscribing to Ace the Exams right now, ringing that notification bell so you don't miss any of your weekly executive briefings, and dropping a comment below. Declare your target grade, your qualification tier, and your subject. Make that public commitment to your own success right now. But before you step out of the boardroom, consider this. If a 99% confidence interval is mathematically wider and less precise than a 90% interval, are we essentially sacrificing accuracy just to feel a false sense of absolute security? Think about how that exact concept applies to the real-world data, news, and statistics you consume every single day. Class dismissed.